It's been a while since we last talked about the African history. Welcome back to Retelling African History, and let's start. The death of George Floyd on the 25th of May 2020 had the whole world talking. The chants of rented the air for a long time. All lives matter, and that is where we end this video. And in this video, we'll be talking about a certain character from Southern Africa, or if you like, the South Africa. She was highly objectified sexually, treated like a trash, and died early. The woman I'm talking about is none other than Sarah Baartman. Without further ado, let's get started. Sarah Baartman was born in 1789 in Buttocks River, which is the current day Eastern Cape, in South Africa. She was a Khoikhoi, which is one of the most prominent tribes in South Africa, which have conserved their culture for a long time, and they still maintain it up to today. She grew up in a colonial farm, which was owned by the Dutch, who were the colonizers of South Africa at the time. Her parents worked as servants in the colonial farms, and her mother died when she was just 2. After a few years, father would follow. One thing that remains clear about South Africa at the time, and Africa at large, is that early marriages were very common, and Sarah Baartman was not exempted from the same. It was part of the Khoikhoi culture and many other tribes in Africa at the time. At the age of 13, she would be married off to a fellow Khoikhoi man who was a professional drummer. Sarah's marriage would not last long because at the age of 16, her husband would be murdered by a Dutchman and she'd be rendered a widow. The death of Sarah's husband would change her life forever because she would be taken away from Buttocks River to Cape Town through the influence of a Dutchman by the name Peter Williams Caesar. Peter would take Sarah to Cape Town, where she would work as a domestic worker for his brother by the name Hendrik. One thing that I did not mention at the start of this video is that Sarah had a special condition by the name steatopygia. Steatopygia is a condition in which some body parts may grow very big, and in the case of Sarah Baartman, her buttocks were really huge, which attracted a lot of attention from both the blacks and whites who were in South Africa at the time, especially Cape Town. One of the people who were attracted to Sarah's body was a physician by the name Alexander Dunlop. Dunlop was a friend or a personal friend to the Caesar brothers. He would convince Hendrik Caesar, who was the master to Baartman at the time, to sell her to him. On 29th of October 1810, Sarah Baartman would sign a contract to work for Alexander Dunlop. This is a bit concerning because Sarah Baartman was not educated and therefore could not understand what was contained in the contract. What was in the contract? Let's start from there. This is where the big issue is. According to the contents of the contract, Sarah Baartman was to move from Cape Town in South Africa to England and as far as the Republic of Ireland to be used in this place. This was a common culture or a common practice that people from the England or people from Europe practice. They would put people and animals which they considered very unique in public places for people to view. The same thing that happens in zoos. Upon arrival in England, Sarah would be exhibited in a public place stark naked. Stark naked. She would be exhibited at the Piccadilly Circus like a clown. Due to the big buttocks, Sarah Baartman would receive a lot of attention from people and her boss, that is Alexander Dunlop, would earn a lot of money. The attention that Sarah Baartman was receiving from the public would create rage from concerned parties, and they would launch a case against the Dunlop and the Caesar brothers. But the two parties, that is Dunlop and the Caesar brothers, caused Sarah Baartman to say that she had consented to the whole thing, which was a lie. 4 years later, that is in 1814, Sarah Baartman would be whisked away to France and sold to another man by the name S. Rieux. Rieux was infamous for displaying animals and other people in public for the public to consume. The French were mesmerized by Sarah Baartman's features, and some of them would mistreat her or they mishandle her sexually. It is not just about seeing and touching her inappropriately, because Rieux would pay some patrons to defile Sarah Baartman while the public watched. On 15th of December 1815, Sarah Baartman would die. There's little information on what caused the death of Sarah Baartman, but some people say that she might have suffered from chickenpox, which is debatable. Even in her death, Sarah Baartman never knew what peace is. Her body would be dissected and most of her body parts would be taken away and put in display. Her genitalia, her skull, her brain, and her skeleton would be put in the museum for people to view because, well, Sarah Baartman was extraordinary. As late as 1974, Sarah Baartman's body parts were still in a museum in Paris. It was not until 1994, when South Africa attained independence, that the president at the time, Nelson Mandela, requested formally, and underline this word, requested, which is disgusting because you cannot take my thing illegally, then you make me request for it back. Nelson Mandela would request for that, and it was not until 2002 that Sarah Baartman's body parts, which were detained in Paris, would be brought to South Africa for burial. And that is it for today. Which other figure should I discuss in my next video? Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel for more.